just beat the University of Louisiana Monroe Warhawks by a score of 76-65. Looking at the stats that we got right here, thanks to our producer, Easton John, Izzy Higginbottom, the Sun Belt Conference Newcomer of the Year. She shot 6 for 12, absolute dog, and she had a great game. The team overall shot 42% from the field, 43% from three-point territory, and shot, of course, 78.3% from the free throw line. And Cooper, man, it is a great time to be a fan of the Red Wolves. The men play at 5 against Coastal Carolina, but right now we're all running off the high of the women's team winning in the first round.
Yes, and Izzy Higginbottom dropped 19 points today without hitting a three. Arkansas State women's, Izzy didn't have her best shooting game from the three-point line, and they still found ways to win. Because if you're just looking at the stats, we had multiple players with 4 or more rebounds, and they out-rebounded us, but when they're only shooting 69% from the free throw line compared to our 78%, that's what you want. You want to be able to go to the line, make your free throws, because when it comes to tournament, we saw last time we played ULM, we kicked the crap out of them. They are our little brother / little sister. It's just how it is here. They just need to accept it already. And so in tournament games, what are going to win you ball games is controlling the ball and not not having turnovers and making your free throws. And that's exactly what we did.
Right, and in addition to Izzy's 19, Lauren Pendleton, she also had 13, and Wilkerson, she had 16, along with Anna Griffin scoring 10. That's over 2 players in double-digit points that helped the team win. And, we were talking before the show, Cooper, Easton, John, and myself about who the Red Wolves were going to play in the next round. And, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Easton had told me that we're playing Georgia State in the next round, so that's Georgia Southern, in the next round. So that's going to be an exciting game for the Red Wolves. I mean, you just got to look at the bracket if you want to know how this tournament is going to shape out for the Red Wolves. I mean, they beat ULM the first round, which we just talked about, and now they're playing Georgia Southern. The next round, if they win that, they'll be playing a tough Southern Miss team. And, if you look in there at the number 2 seed, Texas State, that's a team that we just lost to. But overall, right now, Coach Rogers and the team, they said it on the broadcast that Coach Rogers wants the battle for that team in some of the press conferences leading up to that game. But it's going to be a test of time to see if the Red Wolves can feed off last year, and really get this thing going. Because we saw last year where we talked about it before, where they were first round exit.
And we're already doing better than last year.
Right, of course. But now that we got some slim killers on the team, like Izzy Higginbottom, who just won Newcomer of the Year, which we'll get into later, it's now showing how this team can really form once everybody's shots going in. Because we talked about this multiple weeks ago, even on After Dark with Easton.
Yes. If
this team gets into conference play and starts firing on all cylinders, then they're going to be hot, they're going to be electric, and they're going to win ball games, And, I mean, they just showed right here in the first game against ULM, who, like you said, we did blow out, but it's great to see that we won the first game, and now we're on to the second round.
And you can just tell this team now from last year, 2 completely different teams. You can see the experience they have of playing in the conference tournament. I know Izzy wasn't on the team last year, but with the experience she had around with Jade Upshaw being there, Lauren Pendleton being there, Melody Capina being there, and as well as your head coach, who's really in her first true season as the head coach, this is her second time being in the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. They have experience, and being a lower seed, that's what you need is experience, and they have it.
Right, Cooper. Well, we're going to step away and take a short break. When we come back, you're going to be hearing from our news desk correspondent, Ella Jane Britt. Stick around, guys. You're watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV. Stick around.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable. I'm your news desk correspondent, Ella Jane Britt, and this week in A-State Athletics. First off, I would like to mention a huge shout out and congratulations to the Arkansas State track and field team as they came home with the gold at the Sun Belt Conference Track and Field Championship. This makes for their 4th year in a row to win this title, which seems pretty crazy. In Arkansas State women's basketball, the Batesville native Izzy Higginbottom was named the Conference Newcomer of the Year, as well as being tabbed 2nd team for All Sun Belt Conference. She is the first newcomer of the year here at Arkansas State since 1999. Higginbottom has also scored double figures in the last 22 of 26 games. She has also averaged a 93% shooting average from the free throw line, which, if you ask me, that's pretty jaw-dropping. This ranks her 16th nationally, and this team is set to open their postseason tonight in the 11th seed as they took on ULM, like Tristan Cooper just mentioned. The Arkansas State baseball team lost 2 of the 3-game series this past weekend against Illinois State. One thing that helped them Sunday in their win over Illinois State was their timely 2-out hitting. These Red Wolves scored their 10 of 14 runs with 2 outs and hit 10 for 18. Valley View's Will French finished a triple shy of the cycle, scoring 3 runs and hitting his first career homer. Arlen Butts also contended to the win and striking out in 2 innings of relief. This pack of Red Wolves will continue their 12-game homestand against Mississippi Valley State, which is now being altered to a doubleheader tonight due to the possible inclement weather. The first game will begin at 4 p.m. and consist of a full night innings, where the second game will consist of a 7-inning. General admission tickets are $2 for the doubleheader, and you can listen to this game live from the Ticket Radio news work stations. Tristan Cooper, back to you guys.
Thanks, Ella Jane. But yeah, Cooper, so now that we talked about the first win of the conference tournament for the women's team, let's go ahead and dive into some of the award winners that the Sun Belt Conference had announced just the other day. So the first things first, the Player of the Year. Kiki Jefferson from James Madison was named Player of the Year from the Sun Belt, where she averaged 18.2 points, 8.1 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and she shot 42.2 from the field. And Cooper, now that James Madison is one of the newer teams in the conference, they've been running wild like Hulkamania, brother.
They really have. I mean, we saw them in football this year, too. They would have been in the conference tournament, but they have these stupid rules where they've really surprised me, just being able to transition as well as they did. They are a good team. I didn't disrespect them. They are a good team. But I really thought they would have just, had a struggle having to play bigger teams that have been played in the Sun Belt. But they've really taken the league by storm. And my goal next year for the Player of the Year, Izzy, this is your time to shine. Go win that award. Bring it home back to Jonesboro and call it the J. Vegas Award, because I want to see an A-State player winning it every year. Right,
and now moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year, Emma Merriweather, who we just talked about in her first-round conference game against the Arkansas State Red Bulls. She played well, but she didn't play well enough, okay? So looking at her season stats, she shot about 10.1 points. She rebounded about 10.6 rebounds. She had about 0.3 of an assist, and she shot over 50% from the field. Now, that's good for a center. For one of your bigs, that's really good. But the fact of the matter is this. Yes, she's a defensive player through and through, and she was great in the 2 battles we've seen her playing against the Red Wolves and even earlier in the season. But the fact of the matter is this. When your team is just as slow-paced and not averaging as many points and not getting the ball inside as well as you want it to, that kind of harmed her from the offensive side. Because, sure, she did have double-digit points and double-digit rebounds, but you got to look at it this way. when your team, especially in the conference tournament this first game, when Emma Merriweather is shooting 6 for 9 from the field and 4 for 4 from free throw, she has got to be able to pass it to some of her guards or some of her forwards to where she can score more, get inside looks, get wing looks, just so the team can average more points and be a more dominant threat. And that's why they lost so many games this season. Now moving on to the freshman of the year, last season, you already know who it was. It was L.A. Lauren Pendleton. Shout out her. Mm-hmm. This time around, it's Kelsey Thompson from the University of South Alabama. She averaged just about the same amount of points as Emma Merriweather did at 10.5, 4.2 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and she shot just about 34% from the field. Now, that's good for her because South Alabama, they weren't really a good team as well. I mean, they've had their ups, they had their downs, just like Arkansas State has. But moving down to the 6th Woman of the Year. Once again, hailing from James Madison University, Peyton McDaniels. She shot about 11.5. She had 11.5 points, 4.4 rebounds, 44% shooting from the field, and she averaged about 38% from three-point territory.
Now, this is the award I want Jade Upshaw to be winning next year. I feel like Jade, she's kind of she could be the Tyler hero of their team. And by what I mean by that, she has the skill to start, but I feel like she does the best when she's coming off the bench, coming in the game, and being able to knock down the shots and get the team going. If she can work on her three-point jumper, it's good, but you have to be consistent. If she can do that, then there's no way that she shouldn't win the 6th Man of the Year, and that's the goal I want to see Jade Upshaw to be winning next year, coming off the bench, providing those good minutes.
Right, well, you bring up Jade Upshaw, and I want to make a very good point about Jade Upshaw. Is Jade Upshaw, over the course of the season, she didn't get as many minutes as she should have. She didn't get as much averages as she should have. Now, next season, when, some of the seniors graduate, like Akia Patton, once she is gone, maybe we see Jade play a more prominent role. But the problem with Jade is, and I know I'm going to get crap from her if she watches the show, is that she can't really shoot the ball as well as a lot of people want her to. But Cooper,
if she can get consistent, then she'll be really well.
Right. But Cooper, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about that, and we're going to be talking about the Sun Belt Conference Newcomer of the Year. Stick around. You're watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside Football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV in Cooper. As we were talking about before we went to break about Jade Upshaw, she needs to be one that knocks down her shots real quick. And, I don't want to spend too much time on her because it is time to announce who won Sunbelt Conference Newcomer of the Year.
Who is it?
Can I get a drum roll, please? Izzy Higginbottom! Let's go! Izzy Higginbottom is your newcomer of the year. I mean, did you really expect anything more?
I mean, who else would it be? Because, in my opinion, she should have won Player of the Year. That might be bias out of me. But, you know what? She won Newcomer of the Year. The one reason she didn't win Player of the Year, they didn't really know about her. But just look at her stats. 15.5 points per game, shooting 89% from the free throw line, shooting about 30% from the three-point line, shooting about 82 for 92 free throw total, which is only missing 10 free throws all year is insane.
Right, and we've talked a lot about Izzy on the show. And, it's starting to become less Red Wolf Roundtable than it is Izzy Higginbottom Roundtable. Yes. But the fact of the matter is this, was we talked prior coming into conference about Izzy Higginbottom's injury, and now we're talking about her winning Newcomer of the Year. That is just a test of time to show you that Izzy Higginbottom don't give up. And Izzy Higginbottom is up, and she wants to smoke.
And, I mean, keep in mind, this is the same girl that was injured for a couple games this season. You take those injuries away where she's 100% the entire year, the Sunbelt they better watch out next year.
Right.
Just because she's heating up. She hasn't been 100%. She's been 100% for, I would say, the last 5 games of the year. She's really been 100%. She's heating up, and you're seeing it right now, dropping 19 points against ULM, just being an absolute dog.
Right, and now that we've kind of talked about Izzy winning Newcomer of the Year, I kind of want to shift focus back to the conference tournament for the women real quick. And, like we were talking about, Georgia Southern's the next opponent if you look at the bracket. What's interesting enough about this game coming up for the Arkansas State Red Wolves is back on December 31st, New Year's Eve. That's always a crazy time for people, even people in athletics. But Georgia Southern and Arkansas State played at Georgia Southern, and Arkansas State lost by a score of 99-86. Now, what's funny about this game is, and you may be thinking, Tristan, why are you mentioning the game where the Arkansas State Red Wolves lost? It's because, hear me out. So I'm flashing back to this game for 2 reasons. Number one is because of the 2 leading scorers for the Arkansas State Red Wolves in that game, which was Jade Upshaw and Lauren Pendleton. Lauren Pendleton had 24, Jade Upshaw had 20. We've talked about that enough. But the funny thing about this is if you look at the stats from that game, there's one name that you do not see in any of the scoring column. Who is that player? Izzy Higginbottom. Izzy Higginbottom, that is exactly when she got hurt coming into conference play, so they were really limiting her because of the heel injury she has sustained. But now that Izzy's back, the Newcomer of the Year, dropping just about 15, just dropped 19 against ULM, maybe you don't see Jade and Lauren dropping 20-plus points, but you see more and more players like an Anna Griffin, like a Melody Kampinga, like a Jade Upshaw, or not Jade Upshaw, like a Izzy Higginbottom. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But like an Izzy Higginbottom dropping maybe over 20, maybe even over 30. I mean, I know that's far-fetched, but hear me out. She's almost done it 3 times this season.
I really like this matchup because Georgia Southern, they didn't get to see how Izzy Higginbottom likes to play. Now, it's one thing, you can watch film and do that, but you don't really get a feel of a player until you actually go up against her. And they didn't get to see that. They saw what Lauren, they saw what Jade could do, but they haven't seen what Izzy can do. And Izzy makes the whole team better, and I feel like this is a perfect matchup for us.
Yeah, and real quick, before we go to break, I want to mention one thing about this matchup, is Georgia Southern had a player drop 40 points in that matchup. So you limit that, and you have the options of the Arkansas State Red Wolves, and it will be an interesting contest. But before Easton comes in here and gives me a rock bottom, we're going to step away and go to another break. You guys are watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on the one and only ASU-TV. Stick around.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV, guys. Now it's time to switch focus to the men's basketball side of things. You know, the Sun Belt Conference Awards came out for the men as well, which is a very interesting keynote that we'll get to in a second. But real quick, you know, we want to give a special congratulations to the Player of the Year, Tavion Kingsley. You know, he averaged 22.2 points, 4.8 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 54.5 from the field, and 40% from the three-point land with 38 minutes per game.
Yes, he's a really, really good player. He's been giving teams trouble all year. And, you know, like I'm going to challenge the men's team as well. I need a Red Wolf on the Player of the Year. So, Terrence Ford, we're going to get to you about you maybe kind of. I'm not going to try to spoil it, but don't get screwed out of this award.
Right, moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year, Kevin Samuel from the University of Southern Alabama. You know, this guy is, I want to take a moment to talk more about this guy because we've seen him play here in First National Bank Arena. He had 20 points, 10 for 11 from field goals, and 7 rebounds. This dude, I'm sorry, but this dude's an absolute stud. If there's anybody in the Sun Belt Conference that has what it takes to play confidently at the next level, now that Norchad Omeer's playing for Miami, it's going to be this guy. He's at least over 7 foot tall. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But this guy has what it takes as a full built-out center to rebound the ball and really throw it down viciously, kind of like, not trying to compare the two, just using it for reference, kind of like a Shaquille O'Neal could do when he first came into the league. But now we're going to switch to the newcomer of the year, Austin Crowley, who shot 16.2 points, 4.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and had 47.2 from the field goal range. Now, Cooper, I know we talked about who got robbed and who should have won awards, and that just brings me to the Rookie of the Year, the Freshman of the Year, Micah Henlockton from Marshall. Okay. Real quick, I want to make this a point right now before we show this next graphic. Terrence Ford Jr. got absolutely robbed worse than Bret Hart at the Survivor Series in Montreal when Montreal screw drop happened. But now I want to show my evidence of why Terrence Ford got screwed. You look at the stats, okay? Sure, Micah had a better field goal percentage. But you got to think, okay, who had more contribution to his teams?
He's shooting less shots.
The dude's 7'1". Of course he's going to have less shots. Of course he's going to have over 10 freaking rebounds. Okay? For Terrence Ford, a guy to come in when Caleb Fields, when all of his teammates are hurt, for this guy to come in and do what he did effortlessly, to do what he did 2 games ago from three-point land when he shot 5 for 5 effortlessly, He should have won the Freshman of the Year. I don't care what anybody in the Sun Belt Conference says. I don't care what anybody on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any social media. I don't care what anybody says about, oh, well, you know, he played on a below-average team. Of course he played on a below-average team, you jabroni. Everybody was hurt. Everybody was hurt all year.
I mean, if we're talking about it, the second game of the year, they played at LSU, and Terrence Ford almost beat LSU with just 3 of his guys out there.
Exactly. And I'm an LSU fan. A-State fan, and AC don't kill me. But I'm an LSU fan, and I even knew Terrence Ford was going to give us problems.
I mean, Terrence Ford is that guy. You know what? You may not win the Freshman of the Year. Big deal. We're gonna be laughing this time next year when we're talking about the awards, and we have that 3-day bye because we're the first seed. Because Terrence Ford won Player of the Year, and he carried us all the way. So
yeah,
have fun at Marshall, being 7'1", being a waste of talent who's not going to go anywhere after he gets done in his career. Calling it now. So you know what? Have fun with your Freshman of the Year award.
Yeah, I mean, look, no disrespect to him because I'm sure he had a great year at Marshall.
I'm joking.
But it's the thing of fact of the matter is Terrence Ford should have won it, but I guess we got to send it back to our news desk correspondent, Ella Jane Britt. Ella Jane, do you think Terrence Ford got robbed?
I completely think he got robbed. And Tristan, let's try to calm down for a minute before we blow a gasket. So don't forget to come out tonight to Tom Kell Stadium as the Red Wolves baseball team will face Mississippi Valley State University in a double. I'll be there as a Red Wolf supporting as a Diamond Doll, so Wolves up.
I guess I got to calm down for Ella Jane takes me to the doctor, puts me on blood pressure medicine. But Cooper, you know, it's been a great show. You know, we talked a lot about the Sun Belt Conference, and it's going to be very interesting. But you got to look at the men's bracket real quick. Before we go away, before I go to Blytheville with Easton to work the 4A tournament, you got to look at it this way.
We're playing Troy after we beat Coastal. That's all we got to know.
We're playing Troy.
That's all we got to know. We're going to beat Coastal tonight, and then we're going to play Troy the next game. That's all y'all need to know.
I mean, Arkansas State, they're fixed to come out here. Terrence Ford, I mean.
Terrence Ford about to drop 35 tonight.
Dude, Terrence Ford. Okay, I want to put this in perspective, and I hope to God Terrence Ford's watching right now, because he even put on Twitter about how he got robbed. He didn't directly say it, but you know what he meant if you seen his tweet. And, you know, I commented on it, and, you know, I said a couple things to him, and I was like, hey, man, you know, I reached out, and I was like, hey, man, like, look, we know you got robbed. We know you got screwed. So to go out there and show them why you the best player in the Sun Belt, show them why you deserve it. But, hey, I'll put it to you this way. When we come back next week, I guarantee you if the Sun Belt Conference tournament's not over, we're going to be talking about what size ring we're going to be wearing on the show.
And where are we going in March?
Oh, yeah, baby. We're going to be coming up hot with March Madness. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Red Wolf Roundtable, guys. We'll see you guys next week as A-State Arcade is coming up right after this. You've been watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.